Taking control at the door. I believe good classroom management starts outside the classroom. If a group of noisy, out-of-control young people are allowed to fall into the room, pushing, shoving, shouting, and messing around, you're going to have problems throughout the rest of the class. If you allow students to enter your classroom this way, you're going to spend a good deal of time settling them down and getting them ready to learn. More importantly, though, from a psychological point of view, they're going to be feeling as if they are the ones in charge, entering your teaching space on their terms. Once this imbalance of power has been established, it is very difficult to regain control. And this is where a lot of problems lie for struggling teachers. Students will totally ignore a teacher who they perceive not to be in charge. You have to remember, though, that this can't be done by simply barking orders at this group and then expecting them to stand at attention like well-trained soldiers. Yelling at them only gives tough students more reason to hate you. It gives the argumentative ones an excuse to answer back, it puts the wallflowers on the defensive, and it conveys the message that you have lost control. And most importantly, it raises your blood pressure. There is not one single person who benefits from you yelling and shouting. When you use any kind of aggressive approach with young people, you're going to establish a negative them and us atmosphere before they walk through the door. And when this happens, it's almost guaranteed that your lesson is going to be a battle. So a difficult or rowdy group of students needs to be calmed down gradually. By establishing a calm, welcoming atmosphere at the door, you set the tone for the rest of the lesson. And then, once they're in a more relaxed state, in which they are more likely to listen, you can tell them what to do with a much better chance of them actually doing it. There are 2 steps to quieting the students at the door. This is how I get students calm and settled before I let them enter my classroom. You make general, non-confrontational statements about the behavior you want to see, rather than confrontational rants about things you don't want to see. It's easy to constantly complain and blame and accuse students of doing things wrong. Usually they are. But this creates a very negative atmosphere, which has a huge impact on the behavior of the students and actually makes things worse for us as teachers. Instead, if you want students to respond positively to you, do the opposite. Focus on what students are doing right. Thank those who are doing as you've asked, and then calmly remind the others to do the same. And in doing so, by reinforcing the behavior you want to see, you'll quickly create a positive, warm atmosphere in which the majority of students naturally start to settle, rather than an oppressive, angry situation which puts everyone on edge. Here's an important tip. When you make comments, forget the names. As you're leading this informal chat, there are no personal accusations, because the minute you name and shame a student, you set yourself up for an argument. Instead, try and make general observations. Something like, there's still a few people talking and messing about, we're just waiting for a few others now. And give gentle, positive reminders, like, we'll be going in as soon as everyone's quiet. The second way to quickly get students settled is to chat informally with students as individuals or in small groups. The idea of divide and conquer can be an excellent aid to managing lively and rebellious groups. If you try to address a noisy class at the door en masse, it's very difficult to get everyone's attention. And if you don't manage it, you lose credibility straight away. A better way is to focus on speaking to small groups and individual students. Think about the people in your life who you're happy to take orders from. There are people who show you respect and care about you as a person and not just as an employee or as a worker. Teachers who are comfortable chatting informally with their students outside the classroom tend to get much more respect from them and find their students responding much more positively to them. So take any opportunity you can, whether it be in the bus or at lunch, in the yard, or the hallway. Take a few minutes out of your day, out of your break time, and spend them with your students. Spending just a few minutes talking, mingling, and socializing with your students in the hallway goes a long way towards helping to set the right tone for the lesson and really helps settle students down. Another advantage of spending a minute or two with your students at the door is that you get to spot any likely problems and troublemakers. You know, the kind of things, students who have been arguing, messing around, hyperactive, upset, mischievous, and so on, right? On their way to your classroom in the hallway. You stop it in the hall before it goes into the class. You must put a stop to this behavior outside of your classroom, or it will surely continue inside of your classroom. The main thrust of this approach is prevention. It's about spotting and dealing with problems as early as possible in order to stop them from escalating. And the best way to do this is to address a student on a one-to-one basis, particularly about issues of a sensitive nature. It's crucial that you do so quietly and caringly and out of earshot of other students. When issues come up, they must be addressed before you let the students into the room. Because if they are going into the classroom with unanswered concerns, they will almost certainly cause problems and disruptions down the line. Obviously, some problems are easier to deal with than others. So when there's something that can't be addressed before the class or even during the class, make sure you let the student know that you've heard their concern and that you will help them. You might want to say something like, "Johnny, I can see what you're going through is a concern for you, but it's not something that I can help you with right at this moment because I have a lesson to run. But I'm glad you've made me aware of it. I will help you with this, but it'll have to be straight after the lesson. Put it in the back of your mind, and we'll sort it out later." This idea has been adapted from the book Take Control of the Noisy Classroom, From Chaos to Calm in 15 Seconds, by the wonderful author Rob Plevin. And I want to give him a big thanks for all of his encouragement and mentoring throughout my years of teaching.